There was an article about a woman who woke up to the smell of smoke in her house. Immediately, she got up and realized her house was on fire. She quickly dialed 911. The police answered, "911, what's your emergency?" The woman yelled, "Help! My house is on fire!" The police said, "Get out of there, ma'am, we'll be right there." Then the woman said, "Okay, my address is," and right before she could finish her sentence, the police interrupted her and said, "Excuse me, but why do we need your address?" The woman said, "Well, aren't you going to come and save me?" Then the police said, "Why are you making this about your home? Don't all houses matter?" Yes, all houses matter, but it's not relevant at the moment. This analogy is a good example of the Black Lives Matter movement and the argument that all lives matter. Yes, all lives matter, but it's not relevant at the moment. It's that the value of Black lives remains under assault in the United States. You don't go to a cancer fundraiser and hold up a sign that says, "There are other diseases too." Likewise, when President Obama says, "God bless America," we don't ask, well, why didn't he bless all countries? So today, I'm going to inform you about the difference between saying all lives matter and Black lives matter by looking at first, the origin of Black lives, second, the context of Black lives, and third, the struggles Black people still face today. So, what is the Black Lives Matter movement and how did it begin? Black Lives Matter defined is a chapter-based national organization working for the validity of Black lives, according to blacklivesmatter.com. It was created by 3 women, Alicia Garza, Opal Tometi, and Patrice McClures, as a call to action for Black people after the incident in 2012, where 17-year-old Trayvon Martin was placed on trial for his own murder, and the killer, George Zimmerman, who was not held accountable for the crime he committed. It started as a hashtag and it expanded to the streets. The movement grew in 2014 when in St. Louis, Missouri, 18-year-old Mike Brown was killed by Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson. Black Lives Matter is working for a world where Black people are no longer systematically and intentionally targeted for death. What people fail to realize is that they often get confused with thinking Black Lives Matter is saying, forget other lives. Before you assume that is so, let's talk about the context of Black Lives Matter. When people say Black Lives Matter, they are acknowledging a very important context that involves several centuries of slavery, mass incarceration, civil rights, brutality. For example, in the article on theblackpast.org in 1856, Margaret Garner was a slave who had 4 children and took the first opportunity to escape from her plantation to a house in Canada. Just 2 hours after she and her children arrived to the house, her master showed up. Before they stormed in, Margaret made the decision to kill her children. She specifically said she would rather than die than for them to have to experience slavery. Another example, in the article, according to History.com, in 1955, Emmett Till was a 14-year-old Black boy who was lynched for whistling to a white woman. He had no awareness about the consequences of flirting with white women in Mississippi. Yet, when the white woman told her husband what happened, he showed up to Emmett's house, took him somewhere, gouged his eyes out, beat him, wrapped his body in barbed wire, and threw him in the river. Moreover, in 2014, Eric Gardner was killed by the officers' bare arms for selling untaxed cigarettes. The police put him in a chokehold, and Eric's last words were, "I can't breathe." According to NewYorkTimes.com, he received no immediate aid. Additionally, according to Timeline on NPR.org, on April 12, 2015, 26-year-old Freddie Gray was caught with a switchblade in his pocket. However, Baltimore police chief says it was not a switchblade, therefore his arrest was illegal. The police pinned him on the ground in a restraining technique called a leg lace. He screamed for help and asked for his inhaler. No medical assistance was provided. They put him in the back of the van, on his stomach, on the floor. He was not buckled in. Because of this, he died later due to a spinal injury. Later that year, on September 3rd, 2015, NBCnews.com says that a man named Dylan Roof went inside a church and shot and killed 9 black people. He specifically said he came to shoot black people. The problem with this is that he was escorted out by the police and treated to Burger King. Not only do people fail to realize the context of Black Lives Matter, but people say all lives matter to drown out the struggles of black lives. Saying all lives matter is just an attempt to ignore the problems black people still face today. These issues are often shown in schools, jobs, and jail. For example, black children make up 18% of preschool's population, but represent nearly half of all out-of-school suspensions. Job-wise, white college graduates are twice as likely to land a job than black college graduates are, according to HuffingtonPost.com on March 21st, 2015. One can see that what's happening today is nothing new from what happened back then. We are not shutting people's lives down, we are just highlighting the relevant problems that has been taking place for a very long time. Remember, when you hear mom say, "I love you, son," we don't ask, "But what about your daughter?" So when you hear the words Black Lives Matter, don't be so quick to assume it's a judgment about white lives. Instead, see Black Lives Matter for what it really is, a rallying cry to make a difference that takes down the unjust status quo that holds racial equality at bay in America.